Have you ever met someone who says, I don't really need anyone? Maybe they enjoy spending weekends alone. Maybe they rarely text people back. Or maybe they avoid relationships altogether. Most people quickly assume they are just introverted or they don't like people. But what if that's only part of the story? What if their childhood quietly taught them that being alone felt safer than getting hurt? No children is born believing that love is dangerous. No child enters the world thinking, one day I'll push everyone away. Children are naturally wired to seek comfort, connection, and safety. So, what changes? Today, we are exploring one of psychology's most interesting questions. Why do some people genuinely prefer being alone, and how can childhood experiences shape that preference? This is not about blaming parents or saying every quiet person has experienced trauma. People enjoy solitude for many reasons, and many introverts have healthy, meaningful relationships. Instead, we'll explore how repeated childhood experiences can influence beliefs about trust, safety, and emotional closeness, and how those patterns can contribute into adulthood. By the end of this video, you'll understand why some people protect themselves with distance, how these patterns develop, and what healing can look like. What is healthy solitude versus protective isolation? Let's start with an important distinction. Being alone is not automatically unhealthy. In fact, spending time alone can be deeply restorative. It gives us space to think, reflect, create, pray, meditate, read, and understand ourselves better. Many artists, scientists, writers, and leaders value solitude because it helps them recharge. So, if you enjoy quiet time, that does not mean anything is wrong. The real question is this: why are you alone? Are you choosing solitude because it brings you peace, or you are avoiding closeness because it feels unsafe? Those are two very different experiences. Imagine two people. The first enjoys spending Sunday mornings reading a book. They also enjoy meeting friends and talking openly with people they trust. That's healthy solitude. Now imagine someone else. They avoid phone calls, they cancel plans at last minute. Whenever someone gets emotionally close, they suddenly pull away. From the outside, both people spend a lot of time alone, but internally they are living very different experiences. One chooses solitude, the other uses it as protection. Psychology suggests that when a brain repeatedly connects relationships with emotional pain, it may begin treating distance as a way to stay safe. And often that process begins much earlier than we realize. So, where our expectations begin? Think back to a young child. When children are frightened, they naturally seek comfort. They cry, they reach for a parent or caregiver, they expect someone to help them feel safe. Now imagine two different experiences. In one family, the caregiver responds with warmth. I know you are upset, come here. Let's figure this out together. The child learns when I'm hurting, someone will help me. Now imagine another child. They cry, but instead of comfort, they hear, stop crying, you are too sensitive, you'll be fine. The child still has emotions, but over time, they may stop expressing them because expressing them no longer feels helpful. Psychology calls this emotional learning. Children don't just remember what adults say, they also remember how adults make them feel. Those repeated experiences quietly become expectations about relationships. They may grow into beliefs such as people don't understand me, or I should solve everything myself, or it's safer not to depend on anyone. These beliefs aren't chosen consciously, they are learned gradually through experiences. So, what is the invisible experience here? When people hear the word trauma, they often imagine dramatic events. But psychology reminds us that sometimes what's missing can be just as influential as what happened. Imagine a child who is never asked, how are you feeling? No one notices when they are overwhelmed, no one celebrates their small victories, no one comforts them after a difficult day. Their physical needs may be met, but emotionally they feel unseen. Over time, that child may stop asking for comfort altogether, not because they no longer need it, because they have learned not to expect it. As adults, this can show up in subtle ways. They may say, I don't like talking about my feelings, or I'll deal with it myself, or I don't want to bother anyone. From the outside, it looks like independence, Inside, it may be protective habit developed years earlier. So let's understand what is constant criticism and self-doubt. Now let's imagine another childhood. A child proudly brings home a drawing. Instead of hearing, "I'm proud of you," they hear, "You could have done better." Again and again, the focus stays on mistakes instead of effort. Children naturally use the adults around them to understand who they are. If criticism becomes constant, they may begin believing, "I'm never good enough." Years later, that belief may show up in surprising ways. They hesitate before speaking in meetings. They apologize even when they have not done anything wrong. They overthink text messages. They worry constantly about disappointing people. Eventually, relationships become emotionally exhausting because they expect criticism before it even happens. Being alone feels simpler, not because they dislike people, because they feel safer when no one is judging them. So, what is an unpredictable relationship? Imagine growing up with someone whose reactions are impossible to predict. One day they are affectionate, the next day they are distant. Sometimes they are patient, sometimes they are angry without warning. A child living in that environment often feels highly observant. They watch facial expressions, tone of voice, body language. They are constantly trying to predict what will happen next. This is not because they are overly sensitive, it's because their nervous system is trying to stay safe. As adults, these individuals may overanalyze relationships. Did I say something wrong? Why haven't they replied? Are they upset with me? The relationship itself may be healthy, but old expectations can still influence how the situation feels. And sometimes, stepping away from relationships feel easier than living with constant uncertainty. Now let's understand what is bullying. It means when the world outside home feels unsafe. Up to this point, we have talked about what can happen at home. But childhood is not shaped only by parents, it's also shaped by classmates, teachers, neighbors, and friends. Imagine a child walking into school every morning with a knot in their stomach. They are teased because of how they look. They are laughed at for asking questions. They are excluded from games. Maybe someone spreads rumors about them. Maybe they are told they are weird, boring, or not good enough. At first, it hurts, but when these experiences happen over and over, the brain starts looking for patterns. It begins asking, "How do I stop this pain?" One answer the brain may arrive at this: "If I stay away from people, they can't hurt me." That's why some adults avoid social situations, not because they dislike people, but because their nervous system still associates closeness with emotional risks. Now let's understand when trust is broken. Now think about your first best friend, someone you laughed with, someone who knew your secrets. Now imagine that friend suddenly turns against you, they stop talking to you, they embarrass you in front of others, or they share something deeply personal that you trusted them with. Experiences like these can be deeply painful, especially during childhood and adolescence, when friendships play such an important role in our identity. Without realizing it, a person may begin thinking, "If someone I trusted could hurt me, who can I trust?" As adults, they may keep conversations light, avoid vulnerability, or end relationships before they become emotionally close. From the outside, it may look like they are choosing solitude. Inside, they may simply be protecting themselves from repeating an old wound. Have you ever met someone who refuses help, even when they are struggling? They say, "I'm fine, I've got it. I don't want to bother anyone." Sometimes that's confidence, but sometimes it's something else. If asking for help has a child led to criticism, disappointment, or being ignored, the brain may learn that depending on others is not safe. So the child grows into an adult who carries every burden alone. This is often called hyper-independence. It can look like strength, but underneath it can be exhausting. Because human beings aren't meant to carry every challenge by themselves. Learning to accept support is not weakness. For many people, it's part of healing. So, what is attachment patterns? Psychologists often talk about attachment, the ways our early relationships can influence how we approach closeness later in life. Some people naturally expect relationships to be safe, others worry about being abandoned. Some become uncomfortable with emotional closeness and keep people at a distance. These aren't permanent labels, they are patterns, and patterns can change. The important thing is not to label yourself, is to become curious about how your experience may have shaped your expectations. So, how do you begin changing a pattern that's been with you for years? The first step is awareness. The next time you think, I don't need anyone, pause and ask yourself, is this what I truly want? Or is this my mind trying to protect me? That single question can open the door to deeper self understanding. Another helpful step is to notice the beliefs you have been carrying. Do you believe people always leave? Or I'm too much? Or I have to do everything alone? Where did those beliefs come from? Are they based on every relationship you have ever had? Or are they rooted in a few painful experiences? Recognizing the difference does not erase the past, but it can stop the past from silently controlling the present. If you have recognized yourself anywhere in this video, I want to leave you with one thought. Your childhood may have influenced how you relate to people, but it does not have to define who you become. Some people truly enjoy solitude, and there's nothing wrong with that. Others use solitude as a shield because closeness once felt unsafe. If that's your story, remember this: the strategies that helped you survive childhood don't always have to guide your adult life. Healing does not mean forcing yourself to become outgoing. It means slowly teaching your mind that safe, respectful, caring relationships can exist. One conversation, one boundary, one healthy relationship, one small step at a time. If this video helped you understand yourself or someone you care about, please like, share, and subscribe to Heart and Mind. Until next time, take care of your mind. Because when you understand your mind, you begin to understand your life.